The News Day continues here on One News Now Business. I'm Danny Laurel, and here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate fronts. The Trade Department says the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or the RCEP, may take effect as early as May. Now that the free trade deal has been ratified by the Senate, the next step is to deposit the instrument of ratification to the ASEAN Secretary General. That's according to RCEP lead negotiator and Trade Assistant Secretary Alan Gepti. He says that 60 days after the receipt of the instrument of ratification, the RCEP agreement will officially take effect in the Philippines. Gepti also says an executive order containing the schedule of the Philippines' tariff commitments will be drafted and will be submitted to the palace for President Bongbong Marcos' signature. The EO will be the basis for the tariff implementation under the RCEP. A group of farmers has expressed dismay over the Senate's ratification of the RCEP, saying the country is not prepared for the free trade deal. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez has this report.
20 senators voted in favor of the RCEP, the biggest free trade agreement in the world. 10 countries in ASEAN are members of the RCEP, as well as 5 free trade partners: Australia, China, New Zealand, Japan, and South Korea. The RCEP allows an increase in more relaxed trade between member states. That's through the lowering or elimination of tax or tariffs in exported products except for rice, sugar, onions, and some kind of vegetables and meat. Despite this, Senator Risa Hontiveros voted against the measure, citing losses in potential revenues. More than two-thirds of the chamber voted in favor of the trade deal. Government officials supported their decision. Trade Secretary Alfredo Pascual underscored the RCEP's benefits.
Our efforts to industrialize the country and to increasing the size of our economy through trade. And RCEP opens that possibility. RCEP is not a magic deal. It signals only the start of a competitive process. Our industries must compete to be able to harvest the full benefits of RCEP.
But according to agricultural group SINAG, the Philippines is not yet ready to enter the deal.
Yung buong konsepto kasi ng pagpapaliwanag ng ating government is that if you don't join, we lose the opportunity. Ang sinasabi natin, ang pagsali ay hindi nakabatay sa unahan. Ang pagsali ay nakabatay sa kahandaan. Unfortunately, we have not prepared for the past 30 years.
SINAG believes that even without the RCEP, the Philippines can still be attractive in terms of trade by lowering tariffs. But for the National Development Authority, or NEDA, the RCEP can help boost the country's economy.
By being a member, we are saying to the world that we are ready for business. We are welcome here. We play the rules of the game and your investment is safe with us. Yung mga concern naman na ma-disadvantage yung some sectors natin na agrikultura, hindi totoo yun. Yung mga agrikultura natin ay well protected.
Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez, we are One News.
And despite its ratification over in the Senate, several groups still oppose the free trade agreement. And here to weigh in from the private sector, we have with us George Barcelon, the president of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Good morning, sir, and welcome back.
Good morning. Good morning, Danny.
All right, sir. Now there seems to be quite a disconnect, no, between what the government is touting, with what economic managers are touting, and some reactions, particularly from the agri groups, which are dismayed about this ratification. Give us an idea, sir. What is your sentiment, your reaction on the ratification, and how can you assure such groups that they would be protected?
Well, Danny, let's put this in the right perspective, no? We have been in ASEAN for the last 50 years, and being part of ASEAN, we enjoy, trade relationship with the other 9 countries, wherein duties and taxes is greatly reduced, no, to encourage more cross-country trade. Now, with the RCEP, we're just extending it with the 5 additional countries, no, the China, Korea, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. So that opens up certain market opportunities for us. Yes, I'm cognizant of the fact that the agri sectors has voiced their concern. As a matter of fact, I think the present government is doing all it can to increase our productivity, and we may have to even tweak our agrarian law to have bigger plots for the farmers.
Okay.
But aside from that, we need to be in equal footing with the other ASEAN countries. Out of the 10, we're one of the last who has signed up, ratified this in the Senate. The upside of this is that we have to look at it from the point of encouraging local businesses to expand and also to attract foreign direct investments. With the RCEP, that would allow us the market of the 5 additional countries, and these are big market. I mean, China is big market, Korea, Japan, Australia, and considering that many of the other Asian countries, their populations are aging, and so there is this trend of for them to look to be interested in countries wherein there's ample labor force, well educated and capable of having their investment here in the Philippines, and the market definitely will open up. So in the long term, sometimes we tend to be holding ourselves back, saying that we're not ready. But we have joined ASEAN for the last 50 years. So this is just an extension of the economic and trade platform that we can take advantage of. Thank you.
Sir, for the short term though, because this can already take effect as early as May, no? And it's been a tough year for a lot of industries, not just the agricultural sector, but even manufacturing. By May, can we compete? Are we ready to compete if we are going to be inundated by, let's say, cheaper imports?
Well, the reality is that we have been competing. Of course, there are certain product line that we are. It's cheaper for us to import. Let me start the example of, let's say, rice and sugar, of which government, even in the past few years, has allowed importations because we are not able to produce enough for the more than 100 million consumers. We're aware that the sugar industry more or less composed about 100,000 people, and their concern must be addressed. But the other side of having enough supply on the food-related items must also be considered by the government. That's why rice, sugar has been quantitatively allowed to be imported to mitigate our inflation. And this is not that in any way affecting the farmers if they can produce enough. No, I think the Department of Agriculture has set prices for the farmers for their farming operation to be viable.
Okay, so there's enough demand to go around, basically, no? Sir, what about even you've got Senator Risa Hontiveros who voted against this. She even mentioned that there are health issues as well. Some agri-groups are flagging the issue of avian flu, ASF coming in because of maybe lower border controls when it comes to importation. Your thoughts on this, especially as we're already struggling with some produce?
The reality of this is that some of this flu is like our COVID-19 pandemic. It goes cross-border all over the world. So the last 2 years, the government allowed importations of swine, of pork, primarily because of the South African swine flu that happened. It's not only locally, they call it South African swine flu, but it happened all over the world. So these are things that you have our various government department, Bureau of Animal, wherein they are tasked to check on importations of livestock that are free of any diseases. So we are the food that we're eating, dressed chicken and the likes. No, it's not that the local businesses are not are not providing. They are providing, but sometimes seasonality, they are not providing enough. So it's required that we import. But the big sum of the livestock and poultry are basically from local sources.
Okay. Sir, you mentioned the possibility of more foreign direct investments or just general investments in the Philippines because of this free trade agreement, particularly for the PCCI. Any, ideas or ideas on which types of investments could be coming in because of the RCEP?
The investment can be different sectors. Electronic would be one. We are already exporting a lot of components in the electronic side. We hope that moving forward, some of the total assembling of the finished goods can be done in the Philippines. Okay, and even
because
some other
RCEP would make this
less
cheaper,
high-tech-
sir. Because the RCEP would
Pardon?
make it cheaper. Is this because the RCEP would make this cheaper for the finished goods to be manufactured
the
here?
RCEP would allow us to import cheaper
Okay.
and also to be export. It works both ways. In these added countries of the 5 countries, we can export. We are now in equal footing with the other countries. We don't want to be left behind when Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, those who have signed up in RCEP will take advantage of that. So we need to have equal footing. And having said that, what's going for our country is that we have ample labor force.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
No, go ahead, sir.
No, and this is where in all the trips of President BBM, he cites the fact that we are ready, we're open for business, but we are aware also that we have to prepare whatever that's necessary, whether it be on the power side, it be on logistic and infrastructure. That has to be an ongoing improvement for us to make make our country more attractive for foreign investments.
All right, so one bright spot there, manufacturing input costs possibly lower due to RCEP and some interest there from foreign investors as well. Hoping for that. Thank you so much for your
Yes.
insights, George Barcelon, President of the PCCI. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now Business. I'm Danny Laurel. The government plans to borrow 200 billion pesos from the domestic market in March. The Treasury Bureau said it is eyeing to raise 75 billion pesos from the issuance of Treasury bills or T-bills and 125 billion pesos from Treasury bonds or T-bonds. Now, earlier this month, the government raised 283.71 billion pesos from its offering of 5.5-year retail Treasury bonds that's higher than the 250 billion peso ceiling. President Bongbong Marcos has ordered to abolish a one-stop shop center that simplified the processing of tax credits. The president ordered the abolition upon the recommendation of Finance Secretary Ben Diokno, who claimed it was, quote, plagued by corruption allegations. The functions of the one-stop shop interagency tax credit and duty drawback center will be transferred to the Bureau of Internal Revenue and Customs Bureau. This includes processing and issuing tax clearance certificates and duty drawbacks. Now, other assets and liabilities will be transferred to the Finance Department. Diokno said it was impractical for the government to provide the budget for the center as it had not processed and issued any tax credit certificates since 2016. Now, business process outsourcing firms have begun expanding to the provinces. That's according to real estate services provider KMC Savills. The company says the provincial expansion is mainly driven by the availability and affordability of labor in the area. According to KMC Savills, areas like Iloilo City, Davao City, Cebu City, and Clark Freeport Zone are now hotspots for companies setting up office locations and data centers. The company also notes that about 50% of IT graduates already left Metro Manila. This to travel to provinces where their labor was more in demand. Now, this from Bloomberg. It is looking to raise about $150 million from investors to boost its growth. That should be Maya. People familiar with the matter said the PLDT-backed fintech firm is working with financial advisors in a fundraising that could bring its valuation closer to about $2 billion. They also said a new funding round could pave the way or help pave the way towards a potential IPO for Maya. Maya has drawn preliminary interest from prospective investors, including existing backers, according to Bloomberg. And for more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star and Business World online, or visit our website, that's onenews.ph. For more in-depth analysis, you can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account now. That's at www.signalplay.com and stream One News Live anytime, anywhere. I'm Dani Laurel. Join us again. That's at 2 p.m. We are One News, all sides, all the time.